Hey everybody, it's Sarah. So I'm gonna make some spaghetti sauce today and you guys get to watch me do it. So first, got my big pot. I'm making a large batch. It'll be more than enough for tonight's dinner. I'll have enough that I can stick in the freezer for leftovers for a quick easy reheat on another night where I don't want to make dinner or I need a quick dinner. So I've got everything else I need over here already prepped. I'm gonna let this warm up a little bit and I'm gonna start out. I've got a medium onion all diced up here that I'm going to saute. I'm weird, I don't put anything in the pan, I just throw it right into the pan. Some people add oil, add a little oil if you'd like. More stuck to the bottom of my plate here. So get your onion in there and get that sauteed up until it's translucent. So that's gonna take a few minutes. A few other things I'm going to add in there. I've got some ground beef. I've got 2 pounds of ground beef. I love to watch for when Fred Meyer's has their stuff marked down, so it just means that their sale date was coming up, and so I come home and either use it that day or toss it in the freezer, and you get it for half the price that you would normally, and you're getting the stuff that you know doesn't have hormones and all the other gunk in it. It's not the grass-fed, so could go one step up on that, but this one's still a really good choice. So I have 2 pounds of burger that I'm going to be using. Then I have some already cleaned up and diced up button mushrooms. I just have 1 package. You could probably, if you really like mushrooms, you could do 2. If you don't like mushrooms, you can leave them out. It's purely a choice on that one. Then I have 4 cans of diced tomatoes. We'll dump them in, juice and all. Then I have 1 can of tomato sauce that we'll end up adding in there. Then I've got my Mondo jar of minced garlic and then some seasonings. I've got oregano, sage, basil, and then bay leaves. We'll use salt and pepper to taste and then a little sugar. Now the sugar you put in not for sweetness in the sauce, but to cut the acidity of all the tomato products you're putting in. So this is starting to cook up. Now, this will be what I'm going to serve for dinner tonight. For my family, I will make them just pasta noodles. I use a whole grain pasta noodle. For myself tonight, I'm going to make a stab at trying the spaghetti squash. I've never actually tried it, so I'm going to bake this up later and scoop it out, use a fork and string it up and get this one made, and this is what I'll serve mine on tonight and see how that goes. So if you're on, say hello. We've got a few minutes while we wait for everything to kind of get cooked up in here. So right now we're just sauteing the onions and waiting on that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. Hello, Debbie. So once the onion gets cooked up, we'll go ahead and add the burger in and get that browned up. I did buy a 91 lean, 9% fat, so there shouldn't be any fat to drain off. Hi, Hildy. So, oh, Hildy, I just made the Crown Royal cookies finally today. It's not the healthy part, but I made them for my Bunko group tomorrow. I'm excited to see how they are. Alright, so getting the onions getting cooked up in here. Cut open my burger. We're having the craziest weather here today. Mother Nature's got some serious PMS. I'm over it. Get my burger tossed in. So this will be an adventure for me today when it comes down to actually adding the seasonings, because I don't ever measure. I just dump it in until it tastes good. So I'm actually going to write this recipe out for you guys for tomorrow's blog post. So we'll see if I can get the measurings down. We'll play with this and see how it goes. So are my kitchen scissors. They're only used for items in the kitchen. I don't cut anything else with them, but They'll get a good wash up now since I just cut open 2 packages of hamburger with them. Get the hamburger all broke up in there and just get that browned. And once we get that all browned, we'll start adding in all the seasonings and everything else. It is, Brian. It's actually 1:30, and I'm going to let it simmer for at least 3 hours so that the flavors can meld together. It tastes a lot better that way. Good choice, Leanne. Sounds good. I'm trying mine with spaghetti sauce, though, or with spaghetti squash tonight. I don't think I can get Chad and the girls to go for it, but I'm going to be trying it. The longer I let the sauce simmer, Brian, it tends to taste a little bit better. The flavors just all marry together a lot better. So you can make it and serve it, but I like to let it simmer for at least 3 hours or so, 4 hours. Break the burger up in here into littler pieces and let it keep browning.
Mom.
Yes, sweetheart.
I'm hungry.
It's true. It is nice to not have to rush through it and get it made ahead. So I'm going to get it on. I'm going to get it so just let it simmer and come back and stir it every once in a while to make sure it doesn't burn to the bottom of the pan. And cute little helper in the background. And then I'll be ready to go later on so I can go pick the kiddo up from school and get anything else done I need to get done before then. I have made this with ground elk before. It's delicious with ground elk. Those are really the only 2 proteins I've ever tried it with.
I'm hungry.
Okay, well, you're going to have to wait, please. I don't know what else I would ever try it with. Have you tried it with venison at all, Leanne? I suppose that one would be pretty good too. I just like how lean elk is. It's probably actually my favorite protein. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Madison. Leanne says hi.
Hi.
Alright. Getting that all browned up. Open up all my cans of tomatoes and everything else and get those ready to go in when it's time. Hey, Jerry. Hope your wrist is feeling better. I will tell Chad you say hi, Brian. Hope all's well with you guys. Alright, so the burger's just about browned up. I'm going to let it finish browning up before I add anything else into it, though. Alright. I had the hardest time getting the camera set up so you guys could actually see what I'm doing. You come by and pick it up after work. Well, you have to figure out where I live first, Terry. Good luck. I'll share the recipe tomorrow, though, and you can figure out how to make it yourself. You know where I live? I don't think you've ever been here. Then again, maybe you have. I have lived in this house for 7 years. Alright, burger's just about there. Hi, Nicole. If you guys have any questions for me, drop them in the comments and I'll answer them as we're going along since it's going to take a little while. It's a little process today. Alright, so let's see if you can see. Got the burger and onions all browned up. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding in the tomatoes. Actually, before I do the tomatoes, I'm going to add the garlic in. So I'm going to do a big heaping tablespoon of garlic in this. Like a lot of garlic, so can never go wrong. If it calls for 1 clove, add 3, right? And I'll go through and I'll add more as I'm going along and see if I need to add any other flavors to it. I really cook by taste. It's not conducive to sharing recipes. It's a little bit of this. Sometimes I add that. Sometimes I add that. Hey, Bruce. All right, now I'm going to dump in all my tomatoes. So that's 4 cans of diced tomatoes. I do like the no salt added ones. I like to add my own salt to my food, not have it come already salted. I don't use a lot of salt anyway. Then a big can of tomato sauce. I did this in my large pot, even though it's gonna only be about halfway full, just for the splatter, since I'm gonna let it simmer for the next 3 hours or so. That way I can really reduce the mess that my kitchen, the toll that it takes on my kitchen. Now what I'll do is I'll actually take and I'll put just a little bit of water in each can and rinse it out and get the rest of the juice and everything out of all those. So probably a 1/4 can of water for each one and rinse it and dump those in. So if you're going to simmer it, you can do that. If you're going to serve it right away, I would kind of look at it and you probably don't need to add as much. Let's see. I'm trying to decide if I want to add 1 more tomato sauce to this or not. Get a little water. So just swirl a little bit around in there and dump it on in. And do that with all the cans. Oh, sorry to hear that, Brian. Doesn't look like mine's cut out at all. Anybody else having me cut out? I've heard Facebook's been having a lot of issues lately, so it could be something with that. Last one. Alright. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw all of my mushrooms in. So they're already cleaned and cut up. I actually bought the whole button mushrooms, just wiped them off with a dry paper towel, and then cut them up and put them back in the container. So, where's my spaghetti sauce? So here's what it's starting to look like. Like I said, you can add more mushrooms if you want. Leave them out if you don't like them. They love mushrooms in my house, well, except for the kids, but they can pick them out. Then I'm going to start to add my seasonings. This is where it's going to be an adventure, because like I said, I don't ever measure. I just dump it in and call it good. So play a little game of how much do I normally put in. Guess we'll start with teaspoon. Note to self, put your phone on do not disturb. Alright, so I'm going to add, try 3 teaspoons of dried oregano first. Let's see how that one goes. Oregano is probably the spice or the seasoning I add the most of besides garlic. Hey, Lee. Alright, and then basil. I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon of that for now. And then the rubbed sage. It's pretty potent, so I'm actually going to go ahead and try a 1/2 teaspoon. You can always add a little more. You can't really take it out. So turn this down to medium-low. Get it all stirred together. And we'll taste it and see how it's going. Hey Chad, hey Janine. Alright, for those of you just joining me, we're just making a spaghetti sauce. I'm just putting in the seasonings. I said this is going to be an adventure for me because I don't ever measure, but since I'm going to share this recipe with you guys, I'm actually measuring out stuff, but we'll see how much I actually normally put in. Let me grab a spoon. Let's see how that's going. Oh yeah, I need a lot more seasonings. It does need a little salt and pepper. That one's gonna simply be to taste. My husband hates my salt shaker because I do a mix of sea salt, pink Himalayan salt, and iodized salt all in one. I'm gonna do some fresh cracked black pepper in there. Still gonna add the bay leaves in as well, but that's a flavor that's gonna take a while to incorporate, so I'm not too worried about adding them in right now. I don't want to break them up while I'm stirring, so I'll add them up after I feel I've got the rest of the seasonings right. Still need to add my sugar. I'm just going to put in 1 tablespoon of white sugar, and like I said, that's just to cut the acid of the tomatoes. It's not for any sort of sweetness. Hey, Brandy. So get that all mixed in. Now, add some more oregano. I've already got 3 teaspoons, so we'll put in at least another 2, maybe even 3. We'll see. We'll go with 2 and see how it goes from there. It's weird having to measure and not just dump and kind of rock it, you know, see what it tastes like. I need some more garlic, but instead of the minced, I'm going to grab my garlic powder. I like garlic powder, not garlic salt. Like I said, I don't like to add a lot of salt to things, and I want to be able to add it on my own. This is a great way to get the garlic flavor in there without adding a ton more sodium. So, of course, I'm not measuring this. I'd say it's probably about a teaspoon. We love garlic. You can't go wrong with garlic. This is just the simple meat sauce that I have grown up eating and making. But I get my recipe measurements from my dad, because my dad does the, oh, just a splash of this, a splash of that. Sometimes I add a little bit of this. That's better. I'm going to give it 1 more teaspoon of oregano. So that's 6 teaspoons of oregano. But that's kind of the main staple in there. Hey, April. All right, I'm gonna let it simmer at this point. I'm gonna throw in like 2 large bay leaves, which doesn't seem like I have much left for large bay leaves. So I'll probably toss in like 4 small bay leaves. Those are just in there for flavoring when it comes time to eat. Make sure you remove them. You don't want to eat the bay leaves. And now all I'm gonna do is turn the heat down. I've already turned it down to medium-low. I might turn it down a little bit more. And I will put the lid on this, not completely covering it. I'm going to let it vent a little bit, but I'm going to let it just kind of reduce down. If it starts to get too thick, if you're letting it simmer for an extended period of time, just add a little water to it. Just dump in a little bit of water and let it go from there. So as it cooks, the mushrooms will cook down. So here's what it's looking like. And the mushrooms will cook down in there, and the flavors will all just kind of marry together. So I'll leave the lid on it like that just so it can vent out the side. And let's see, it's almost 2 o'clock here. We'll eat dinner in probably 3 hours or so, 3.5 hours, and it should be ready to go. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll go write down all the measurements of what I put in, and I will catch you guys later. Have a good day.